am Angie.
And I'm Lou.
We're Eat, Sleep, RV Repeats. And today we are coming back with another Tuesday Talk.
Yep. Today we're going to talk about our first RV experience together.
Yeah, because you've done this before.
A couple times.
It was my first time.
Yeah.
So together. So Lou and I have been together 16 years, but it wasn't legal to get married in Florida up until like 3 years ago. So we finally decided to get married, and we wanted to have a unique honeymoon experience.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, we got married and we had a little dinner with our close family members.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking of like, what could we possibly do for our honeymoon? You know, like, let's not go on a cruise. We've done that before.
Total cruise whore. like yearly thing.
She loves it.
I know.
Totally loves it. I'm neither here or there. I do like the sea days though. Those are my favorite.
Doing nothing.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out what can we possibly do to have a good experience, to have something unique, maybe something that we've never done together. And so I brought to Angie the idea of buying a small teardrop and going cross country, which at first she was kind of like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. But this is a common thread between us.
It takes a lot of convincing. When she gives me an idea, I don't see the big picture immediately. So yeah.
So I've turned into a salesperson. I have tactics that I put together. I strategize before I make a presentation, so that the idea will sell. So anyways, so I showed her different pictures of what the idea was, and you know, we had bought a brand new car, and we'd be able to tow it because it's a very lightweight. It was I finally decided on a wood teardrop camper that we would actually have made to our specifics.
Right, it's a homemade one. It's not like a big name that everybody knows of. It's a gentleman that's just, you know, building his little business, and he builds teardrops, and you can tell him what you want and what you don't want, and he builds it to your liking. So we thought that was kind of cool.
Right, he has one specific frame that he builds on, which I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it's a certain dimension, and within those dimensions he can pretty much build anything that you want, assuming that that frame has a limitation of weight and space. So we contacted him. We first looked at the pictures online, and we sort of talked between us, like, what do we really want, what don't we want? And at the time we just wanted to travel comfortably and not have a lot of weight. So we opted to not have a kitchen in the teardrop.
Right. We also wanted to take our girls with us. At the time, we had Mimi with us?
No.
We didn't have Mimi. Okay, so Lexi and Tita, we had the girls with us. And not all hotels are like real, you know, pet friendly. So we wanted the four of us to be, you know, comfortable and have a place to sleep while, you know, we're going basically cross country.
Yeah.
And we should actually say the gentleman, I think you found him on Craigslist, and then he had his website.
Yeah.
And that's how we saw all his specifications and all the customizations. And he's called Honey Badger. Is it Honey Badger Campers?
I think so.
I'll be sure to link it.
Yeah, I was looking on Craigslist for teardrop campers. We had a price range or a budget of what we wanted to spend on purchasing it. And I started looking on Craigslist, and I found a couple of used ones. I wasn't completely thrilled with it, and I found this gentleman, you know, who could build it to your liking, and so that's where we went with. And then after looking at his plans and at his website, we decided on a simplified version. And what I mean by that is that it basically had space for a mattress inside. It had one shelf that went all the way across. On top of that shelf, it had a cabinet with two doors.
Yeah, cabinet doors.
Right, straight across, all wood, pine type of looking wood. So we had storage for our stuff. We had a shelf for our electronics. We had an AC, which we really ended up not using it because I mean, we're from Florida, so we think we always need an AC.
And it was so cold for such a tiny, tiny space. I mean, we did turn it on a few times, but then it turned out to be really cold.
Yeah, so like maybe inside it was probably, the floor space was probably the size of a queen size bed. So it was a lot of AC for a very small space. And we didn't really end up using it that much because the areas that we were going to travel into were not as hot as the areas that we live in.
Right, which is what we're used to.
So the next thing that we had to do is that we had to schedule the pickup, but before the pickup, we had to schedule our trip. And again, Angie had never been on a cross-country trip before, so it was left up to me. And the schedule was basically from Florida, which is where we are, South Florida, all the way to New Mexico. That was the planned itinerary. And the gentleman that builds the campers is also in Florida. So that was an easy trip because we were going up north. We would just drive up north, maybe midway, I think it was somewhere near Ocala.
Like Central Florida.
Yeah. So we would drive from South Florida to Central Florida, pick it up, and then continue on our trips. It was perfect.
Very exciting.
It was exciting.
So our first stop?
So our first stop was picking up the camper.
Yeah. So we picked up the camper. Really nice gentleman.
Yeah.
The roads.
Yeah.
Were
So I'm not used to, we're not used to like rural areas, right? We live in a city, we're used to regular roads and traffic signs and things like that. And when the gentleman gave us the address, most of the address was on point until the last mile,
Right.
which was
Oh my God.
turn into the second dirt road, well, X amount of distance on this travel on this road, which he detailed the distance. So I was looking at the odometer the whole time. And then, you know, after such and such mailbox, you'll turn into that, and then you'll drive in, and there'll be like a barn in the back, and I'll meet you there. And I was just like weary of that because I've never like had anyone give me an address that was similar to that. And I was just like, where are we going? Are we about to get shot and killed?
The middle of nowhere.
It was weird. It was weird.
But the roads were super rocky. I know that driving in, we were already like, oh my God, this isn't going to be good. And then when we were finally hitched the baby up, very excited, fell in love with her immediately. It was, is it cedar wood? No, it was birch wood.
Birch, yeah.
It was birch wood, very light color, very pretty. Coming out was like freaking out because we could like feel all the bouncing in the back.
At the time we had a Scion XB, the later model, the third generation, or the second generation, I'm sorry, the second generation. And it has like, you know, spoilers all the way around, and the car's really low to the ground, and it had this high performance tires and like expensive rims. Not the car you want to take through a gravel, you know, dirt road. So it was nail biting. It was a nail biting experience for sure.
So from there we took off to our first destination, which was
Didn't we stop somewhere in Florida before we went?
Oh, I don't remember. Yes, we stopped at a campground, and I'll see through the pictures, see if I can link it below the exact city, because I don't remember
Yeah, I think it was
the
a
exact city of
KOA.
the campground, but it was a KOA in North Florida that we stopped to go ahead and crash at.
Yeah, we were extremely tired.
Yeah.
And then from there, we did drive to, the next day we got up and we drove to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that was Angie's first experience in New Orleans.
Right.
We stayed at a KOA because we didn't know better. So we stayed at a KOA. It was, it's fairly close to New Orleans and it had a good price. And let me tell you, when we drove into that campground, everyone stopped what they were doing just to look at our little camper.
The tiny little camper.
And we had a regular site, you know, we had like a 30 amp site, and it was concrete, and it had like a picnic table. And I assure you that the picnic table was bigger than the camper.
It was so sad. The parking space was so big. We had people coming over wanting to see it.
Yeah. We were like the talk of the KOA. So we park our little unit there, we moved the picnic table next to it, and I'm thinking, wow, the picnic table is actually the size of the camper. That's amazing. Like, I didn't really realize how small it was at the time. And then we went and we hit up New Orleans, which I think was one of your favorite places, right?
It was definitely one of my favorite places. top 2 of our trip. I was laughing so hard I started to leak. Definitely the food. I mean, the food was delicious, but I love the architecture also, and I love the trees. And when we took the cable car, that was a whole new experience for me too, because I had never ridden in a cable car. So going out to the Garden District and walking through what is it, Yolola? The university?
Loyola.
There was 2 of them. There was that one and there was Tulane?
Tulane.
So we walked through both of the universities, and we went through Auburn Park, and it was just, it seemed majestic to me. It was just so beautiful.
That whole area is just incredibly beautiful, and they have a bunch of antique stores. We also went to the cemetery.
Yeah, the Lafayette Cemetery.
Yeah.
We didn't do a tour, we walked through it ourselves, and stopped and paid respects and read the different not tombstones, they're,
I think they were tombstones.
I think they have a different name, those,
Graves?
no, the above ground ones, I think it starts with an M. I don't remember. Do you guys remember?
Mausoleums?
There we go, that's what it is. Yes, that's what they're called.
So, Angie fell in love with New Orleans, but she actually fell in love with the Mufuleta.
Yes, that is my favorite thing there, which I'm super sad about because now we're eating keto, and obviously I'm not going to be able to eat that because hello, bread, high carbs, but that was my favorite thing, and we had a lot of food there.
Yeah, so we had all the necessary things that you need in New Orleans. We went to Café de Moon and we had the vignettes.
Yes.
We had the Mufuleta at the grocery
Central store?
Yeah.
Central grocery store.
Yeah. We had crawfish and we had gumbo and we had jambalaya.
Yeah.
But out of all those things, the one thing that stuck with Angie was the Mufuleta. She was just in love with this thing.
I loved it. I would say my second favorite thing was Acme though.
Yeah, but we had the True Boys also.
Yeah, that was, I think they were called Cajun Mike's. I found them on Groupon. I said, let's see what Groupon has. And we found this little place, and I think they were called Cajun Mike's. It was so good that we went back twice. The bartender recognized us. She's like, you came back again? Yeah. That was actually on our way back. Anyway, so let me not jump ahead. That was on our way back. We went back there again.
I love going to holes in the wall, just, out of the beaten path. Things that are not like, chain restaurants. And that place was awesome. I just loved the feel of that place. I loved the look. And the food was amazing too. So
you got an oyster po' boy?
Yeah.
And I got was it an alligator sausage. It was an alligator sausage po' boy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good. It was really good. But from there, we took off to Austin, Texas. And Austin had been on my list for I can't tell you how long. Austin has been something that I've wanted to experience and to go and just take it all in for a very long time. And I was very eager to get there. And we stayed at a KOA.
Yeah, it was actually the Leander KOA.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Leander.
We stayed in Leander. It was a small KOA, but it was actually pretty neat. It got pretty cold there. So we spent about a week in Austin, and we had the shrimp and grits at
Courtyard Grill, I believe.
No, not Courtyard.
Yeah, it was outside. I'll see pictures, but I'm pretty sure
Congress. It was on Congress Street.
Congress Grill. Was it Congress Grill?
May have been, but it was the best shrimp and grits I've ever had. It was
South Congress Grill.
It was amazing. It was amazing. That whole street, we really enjoyed going up and down that street. And having, we had some Mexican food, we had some drinks, went to the thrift store. I love thrift stores. So whenever I'm in the area and there's a thrift store nearby, I love going because in my mind, I get to see, things of that area, unique things of that area. So we went to the thrift store there, which I think was called St. Jude's.
I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember that the last Tuesday talk, I believe I was wearing a reddish shirt, said Austin. I got it at that thrift store. Because I needed an Austin shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I have an Austin shirt too that I got there. But mine is about city limits. Austin city limits.
Which you've been wanting to go to and we didn't go.
Yeah. The program that's been on PBS for, I don't know, supposedly it's the longest running music program on television. But I got a t-shirt from Austin City Limits, and that made me very happy too. I still have it, and I wear it very often to remind me of when I'm going back to Austin.
And we will be going back to Austin.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's an absolute
I love
must.
the vibe there. I love, there weren't no weird looks. Nobody looked at us like, ew, dirty dyke or anything like that. It was very welcoming. It was like totally normal. As a matter of fact, is it City Hall?
Mm-hmm.
We took the girls with us. They have their service animal vest, and freaking security with like these big old rifles standing outside, looking all manly and buff. And sorry, ma'am, no dogs. And I pointed at the service dog vest, and they're like, "Oh, okay." He like turned into butter. This big old man holding the big old rifle was like, "Oh, I would have let you in anyways." He was like so cute, sweet to the girls. So we walked through that, and that was really interesting to see all the portraits of all the different presidents. I learned that they're bigger than the White House. Was that correct?
I have no idea.
I think I learned that the Austin City Hall is larger than the White House. I don't know if that's true or not. Correct me below in the comments.
But we had the girls also in like one of those baby
Stroller.
carriages, a stroller. So we wouldn't let them walk everywhere because we felt, Lexi's very sensitive to people, so we didn't want her to start freaking out.
Or nick somebody's ankles.
Exactly. And Diti's a little older, so I didn't want her walking around a lot. So we had them in these baby carriages too, and I think that added like a cute effect to it.
And once they're in there, they're very well behaved. They just like observe everything. They don't do anything.
We took them everywhere with us because obviously there wasn't a big option in leaving them in the Teardrop because the Teardrop was so small. And I kind of felt bad leaving them behind in such a confined space. So we basically took them with us everywhere.
Everywhere. To eat, to shows, to the City Hall. Everywhere we went, the girls were by our side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from Austin we took off and we went to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And again, this is some place that I've been to before, and I am in love with New Mexico. The views are incredible. I'm just taken by New Mexico, and I wanted Angie to be able to experience that. So we went to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Stop. On the way to Albuquerque,
What about it?
what did you experience when I fell asleep driving?
Oh yeah. I think we were driving on 40. I want to say we were driving on 40 at that point instead of I-10. And there's a section there, which I don't remember the name of it, but there's a section that the elevation goes really high. And we went from normal weather in the 60s to like 30 degrees and hail. And there were truckers pulling over to the side of how bad the weather was. And like an idiot, I kept thinking, well, if they're pulling over, maybe I should. But I just kept driving. And then I kept having that reoccurring thought, well, if they're pulling over, I should too. But I kept driving. And this whole time Angie's asleep. I'm white knuckling this whole thing, there's hail coming at me. The car is freezing up in the front. I could literally see the hood of the car freezing up, like ice building over it, And I'm thinking, how long is this gonna go on for? And am I gonna be able to pull this off? And oh my God, please, I don't wanna have to stop. I don't wanna have to put the brakes on because I can't imagine what's gonna happen. And I moved over to the slow lane. And the people that were driving were zooming by. They were very confident of what they were doing. But then I kept seeing the truckers pulling over and thinking, oh my God, maybe I should pull over. I never pulled over. I woke up Angie. And by the time I woke up Angie and she erected her chair and she looked around, it was literally over. So
I fell asleep. I had a really bad allergy attack, miserable allergy attack. And usually for me, the way to get over it is just go to sleep. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Take medicine. And I think that was one of the times I was having a really bad allergy attack. I fell asleep. And when she woke me up and told me all this, if it wouldn't have been for pulling over at a gas station and me seeing the front of the car, all ice and frost, you can see little icicles hanging from the side mirrors. Yeah. I wouldn't have believed it. I was like, what happened? Did you just go through a snowstorm in 10 minutes? What happened?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And it lasted about 10 minutes or so. And I just kept thinking, oh, it'll be over, it'll be over. And by the time I woke her up, it was over. So that happened. So we went to New Mexico. We stayed at the KOA in Albuquerque. And there was a couple of things I wanted to do there. One, I wanted to go to the Sandia tram with Angie. And two, I wanted to go to the college university section. I forgot the name of it.
Nob Hill.
Nob Hill. I wanted to go to that area too because I love university areas. I love the vibe, the restaurants, just like, you know, the feel of the art, just everything about it. I love being around university areas. And that's an amazing area too. It's very city-like, but it's also a very cool university area in Albuquerque for the, what is it? It's the University of New Mexico, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I will say that driving from Texas to New Mexico is where I kind of fell in love. I don't even know the right words to say it, but nature and this country just looked completely different than from what I'm used to seeing. That I was floored. I fell in love with it, seeing all the clay and the red rocks and the mountains and just land that just goes on and the sunrises. It was just so beautiful. I was like, I can live here. I can totally come back. I can see myself being here long term. It was amazing. So I knew that I was going to love New Mexico, and sure enough, I did. That's the top two. So it was New Orleans and Albuquerque. So many great places to eat. There's two places that come to mind. One that was like on the main street, like the Route 66, and it was open. Mm-hmm. There was chalk all over the wall. I don't remember the name, but obviously pictures or whatever I'm going to put in. So Lou mentioned that we went to the Sandia Mountains and that tram. Super embarrassing. So it's like completely glass. Yeah. And I have a fear of heights. I have two fears: spiders and heights.
You're leaving out the roaches?
I don't really care for. I just don't like killing them because it's gross, like that sound. But I'm not afraid of roaches. Okay. She thinks I'm afraid because I always call her to kill them. It's just I don't like killing them. They're like gross.
And there's also a lot of like screaming. So I associate screaming with fear.
There's no screaming. Okay, so yeah, heights. So having that thing, all glass, where you see everything around you, and you're going up, and you're going up, and you're going up, and the ground is getting further away, and there's nothing but mountains and rocks and thousands of feet down. It gets scary, and I started crying. I was so afraid. I had tears dripping down my eyes, not like sobbing crying, but tears dripping down my eyes from fear. But yet I had this little girl standing next to me, like amazed, looking out the window, like, Papa, look at this. And like, I felt so ashamed that this little girl was just like taking it all in, whereas I was like holding on. And she's like, look over here. I'm not looking anymore. And I wouldn't look. I was so scared.
And here's Lexi.
Pause to pick up the baby.
Yep.
That belly.
She has to be part of everything, or else she doesn't feel happy. So while we were on the tram, there was this guy that was pointing out that there had been a plane crash not too far from where we were, somewhere in the Sandia Mountains around where the tram was. That doesn't help for someone that is having a negative experience. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It doesn't help for someone that's having a negative experience to have someone there, like, you know, giving a lecture on the latest, crash in the mountains. So I'm sure that didn't help Angie. Additionally to that, the coolest factor of this whole tram. Putting
ram and train together.
My God. Tram thing was that there was a worker that was standing on the outside roof of the tram the whole way up. And his job is to get on top of there occasionally, I don't know how often, and check for the lines, make sure that there's no inconsistency, check the top of the tram and see if there's anything going wrong. And he rides on the outside holding on all the way up. I was fascinated by this man. I was so fascinated that when we got all the way to the top, I was literally pushing myself out so that I could get out and talk to him. And I didn't manage to get to him in time, but when we went inside, because there's like a little welcome center inside once you arrive on the top, if you've never been there, there's also a restaurant. And it's basically a ski lift, right? So you get up there, and I guess during ski season, you can go up there and ski down the hill, or the mountain, I should say. But once we got in there, there's like a little center where it tells you more about the mountain, it tells you more about the tram. He was in his little office, and I just ran over there like a 7-year-old. And I was like, hey, mister, excuse me, sir, excuse me, hello, can I speak to you? And the guy just turned around, he was like, yeah. And I was like, you were just riding on the top of the tram? He's like, uh-huh. Can you tell me why? I do that sometimes. And he actually explained the whole thing to me, what I just said to you, that was his job. His job was to climb up on top there. He's not wearing a harness, he's not like strapped to anything or anything like that. You know, this guy is like beyond fearless. And he does that a couple of times a week, you know. Or if your weather changes, he gets up there just to make sure that it's safe enough. It was just crazy to me. And I think I've been on the tram before, and obviously being up there is majestic, but this man is more than majestic to me.
So it's not winter, it's basically the first week of spring, the first week of March, and there was snow up there.
Yeah.
So we were walking through the mountains on the top, and we took some pictures because it was crazy. I'm like, oh my god, there's snow up here. It's so cool.
Yeah,
the
we stopped.
The Cap Mountains. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we stopped into the restaurant and we had a drink in there too.
Yeah.
The restaurant was very toasty, which I welcomed because it was a little chillier up there than I thought it was going to be. I think the elevation up there is about 10,000, so obviously it was, you know, it changed the temperature a lot. And we walked around and we took some pictures in the snow and stuff like that, and I'm sure Angie will find some of those to share with you guys.
From there we went straight to Vegas.
Well, from
right?
there we were supposed to turn around and go back home.
Oh, that's right.
That's what we were supposed to do.
That was supposed to be the end of the trip.
Yeah.
We had scheduled, I don't know, I think the trip was supposed to be 21 days or something like that. And we were having such a great time. And I did not want to come back home yet.
Yeah,
and I was saddened that it wasn't in our budget.
Yeah.
And this one, obviously, she's the one that took care of the budget from the get-go. And she sat down with me that night and she's like, listen.
We were at a brewery.
Okay.
We went to that brewery. There was a brewery close to the KOA. And we went.
Oh, yes. Redhorn. Oh my God, it was a rainy day.
That wasn't it.
It wasn't. Oh, okay, no, because that's Leander. We're in. Okay, I don't remember which brewery it was. The only brewery that I like remember that I fell in love with is called Redhorn, and it's off of It's close to Leander in Austin. It's a brewery. It's a coffee house. They have food. They have Wi-Fi, and we sat there all day because it was raining. And we had such a great time. But anyways.
Yeah, that was one of the days that we were staying at Leander, and it was raining, and we couldn't really figure out what to do. And then she got online and she found us this place to hang out, and we hung out there the whole day. There was a back room, had a couple of sofas, we took the girls in with us. We literally had breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. We literally stayed the whole day.
And we bought a growler to take with us on the road so that we can keep drinking their beer on our way to Albuquerque, or in Albuquerque, because it was so good.
Yeah, that's what we did on a rainy day while we were staying there.
Yeah.
But
what brewery was it in New Mexico?
I don't remember the name of the brewery, but we were staying at the KOA, and it wasn't far from the main road of the KOA. We drove out to the KOA, and we drove into the main road. And in that main road, there was a restaurant we had never been to.
I remember now.
It was like a Kroger, or maybe something like that.
Heb. H-E-B. There was a big,
there was a
big grocery store, Heb, and then across the street, and it was like a side entrance, like the bar was just all one side, and there was some cool art on the walls, which I think I took pictures of.
Yeah.
And the guy was nice, and we had a couple of beers. I remember
we were the only people there.
It was completely empty.
We walked in. I thought it was closed because it looked that, like empty. That, we're gonna rock the door, and the guy's gonna go, "Oh, sorry, we're closed."
Yeah.
But we went in there. It wasn't closed. We ordered a couple of beers. We ordered some cheese platter, cheese and sausage
Was it
platter.
a cheesesteak?
And we ordered some sandwiches. And Angie was like, I was basically closing out the trip, letting her know, well, we've come to the end. Now it's time to turn around, and
So sad.
we're gonna make some stops probably, you know, on the way back. We'll stop in New Orleans and get you another mufuleta, you know. And she looked really sad. What she didn't know is that I had already like rebudgeted our budget and figured out we could extend it a little bit longer. We could go one more place, not far away, but just one more place. And I knew that was going to make her happy. And we could go someplace where she'd never been before. And that was
Vegas.
Vegas.
We're gonna go to Vegas. I was so excited when she's like, so how do you feel about extending the trip? How do I feel? Seriously? Like, my smile was from ear to ear, like, yes, of course, let's do this.
I knew that was going to be the reaction. I was just being coy.
Yeah, so we went to Vegas and we walked around a couple of different, you know, places and casinos, and went to the Madame Tussauds, the wax museum.
Yeah, we went to a show.
We went to a show, which the girls went to the show with us,
They did.
obviously.
We went to one of those review shows where it kind of takes back Vegas from the time it started in the, I want to say the 40s or 50s, I'm not entirely sure, all the way to the present. So they sort of started, you know, old Vegas, and they worked themselves all the way to new Vegas. And that was kind of fun, but yeah, we literally had the girls with us in there, and there was fireworks and shooting and all kinds of things, and they were freaking out. They were freaking out.
They were just shaking, no barking or anything like that.
No.
They didn't disturb. And we saw the Bellagio's water show.
Yeah.
We didn't, she wanted me to see the Treasure Island pirate thing, but that wasn't going on the days that we were there, so we didn't see that.
We went to Fremont, of course.
We went to Fremont and we liked it a lot, and she wanted to do the zip lining.
I did.
Obviously, my fear of heights, I was like, no. But she's convinced me for next time.
Yeah.
I already promised her next time we go to Vegas, I'll do the zip lining.
We're doing it. We're still doing it. We have to. We have to do it. Bucket list. Yeah. So we were there for about a week. Now around this time, I'm particularly having issues with sleeping inside the Teardrop. It's Angie and the two Chi-Chis, and believe it or not, the Chi-Chis take up a lot of space. They stretch out a lot. They take a lot of space. They sleep very comfortably. And I felt like I was sleeping with my face mashed against the side wall of the camper. So on our way, when we turned around back from Las Vegas, we decided to stop in Albuquerque again. We needed to stop anyway, and we liked Albuquerque so much that we decided to stop. But instead of booking a regular camper site, what did we do?
We actually booked a cabin. First of all, we had to contact everybody to let them know that our dates have changed, because now we extended our trip, we're not going to be coming back.
Yeah. Our family, she means.
Yeah. No, the KOA stays on the way back home.
Oh yeah.
The KOA stays on the way back home, because now we're not turning around, now we're going to Vegas.
Yeah.
The trip's been extended, so I had to reschedule everything. But the cabin was super cute. It had like, I want to say a queen. I don't think it was a full. It was a queen size bed, and then it had little bunk beds on the side. No bathroom,
No.
but we were closely enough to the bathrooms.
And we had a bucket.
It had it had a little refrigerator. It had a flat screen TV.
Yeah.
Like, hello,
A heater.
a basic cabin. Yeah, AC heater. We had a little swing outside and a fire pit and a barbecue grill. It was really nice. It was a really nice place.
So picture this. If you've seen one of those cabins, and I'm sure most people have, a little log cabin, very basic, very cute, and then there's a parking space in front of it. So in front of the cabin, you had the Teardrop camper parked and the car.
Yeah.
But we were inside the cabin.
Yeah, not inside the Teardrop. I'm sure people were like, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. My back was killing me. I was feeling claustrophobic. You know, I just couldn't take it anymore. And Angie can sleep through anything. But I have a problem with my sleep. So the fact that I wasn't comfortable was not going to help me relax and be able to restore myself to go out and have a good time. So I was like, oh no, we're going to a cabin. I need to give my body a break. We can go back to the camper after this, but no, I need a break. So sure enough, we took a break, really like a day.
I think either 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah. We went and we knocked out one of my bucket list. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I am a huge fan of Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter, and she spent a lot of time in New Mexico. I believe she settled in New Mexico, in Taos, which I haven't been to yet, but that's on the bucket list as well. It was one of the best experiences I had on the trip. It really was, because I've been wanting to go to that museum for years and years and years and years, and she's really at the top of my list when it comes to like strong women and, you know, people that really like founded a way, I should say more like, I don't know, created a path for women, because at the time it wasn't, I guess it wasn't a career for women. And she forged through, and I love her paintings, I love her attitude, and the next thing on there is for me to go to Taos.
Yeah, we have to do that. We couldn't do it this trip, but we will definitely be doing that once we're living the RV life.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so our next stop was going to be Texas, and I wanted to take Angie to the depository in Dallas. I wanted her to have the experience that I had. I was stunned when I walked through the museum and when I saw all the places where this tragedy occurred. And I think she had a very similar experience as I did.
Yeah, it was hard. It was sad.
Yeah, it was very sad. But I think it was important. It was an important part of our trip to make a stop there, because it's an important part of history. And we were traveling through there, so instead of going anywhere else, that was the place to stop. Along with stopping there, the next necessity that we had to accomplish while we were in Dallas, Texas, was a cowboy steak for this girl. Steak and potatoes girl. Right?
I've always been a steak and potatoes girl, now minus the potatoes, but like, I'm the type of girl that opens up the menu and is like, let's see which is the biggest steak on the menu. That's the one I would get.
Yeah.
And I would finish it. There's no taking home.
Or sharing.
Or what?
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch my steak.
Yeah. She's not kidding. It really is.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the place, and I'll see if I have pictures, but I know that the outside had like these big horns.
Longhorns.
Yeah, these long horns.
Yeah, I know it wasn't Longhorn Restaurant because that would have been a chain.
Yeah.
But we did go downtown to a restaurant there that I had looked up that had good reviews for what we were looking for. So that was our next thing in Texas. We wanted to
Get me a steak.
Get you a steak, and we wanted to have some culture and some history. And then we took off from there, and we went to New Orleans, because we had to stop in New Orleans again, because Angie wanted a mufuleta.
Yeah.
She needed to have another one.
It was supposed to be Baton Rouge on our way back.
So we had to go back to New Orleans so she could get her mufuleta. And like I mentioned before, we needed to take a break, and we stayed at the KOA so that I could take a break. And then driving over to New Orleans, I figured, you know what? That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's over and done. I need to get into a hotel.
Yeah.
I need a bed. I need a full shower. I need space. I can't deal with this anymore. So that was the first time on our way back that we stopped at La Quinta. And La Quinta, for the most part, they allow pets. Mm-hmm. And there's no additional fee for the pet either. So I was just like, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I can't handle sleeping in that crevice. I can't handle not being able to move. I can't handle having to go to the bathroom and getting up and opening the little door and, you know, walking X amount of, you know, distance to the bathroom. I'm done. So we went and we stayed at the New Orleans New Orleans La Quinta. Mm-hmm. We parked our little camper in one of the parking spaces, put a little hitch lock on it, and we grabbed everything we had in there, and we went upstairs with the Chi-Chis. And let me tell you, I have never felt the lap of luxury like I did that one day when I walked into this little room. It wasn't a big deal, it wasn't a big room, it was just a regular room, but when I walked in there, I felt like I was in the lap of luxury. I was just like light and huge bed and oh my God, shower next to me. And I mean, I was just like, it was an amazing feeling. It was as if I'd never been in a hotel before.
Yeah. So we were there for 2 nights because obviously we were going to stay there that night. The next day we were going to explore one final time and eat one final time. And then sleep that night and leave.
And then from there, we took off and we came home to Florida.
Yep. But not necessarily home.
Right.
We did make a stop in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did it because he wanted to take me to do the Orlando Eye.
Yeah.
So we did the Orlando Eye, we did it's not called Seaquarium or Sea World, it's Sea something. Do you remember? I'm sure I have the pictures here so it'll come up.
It's an aquarium that's in the same complex where the Orlando Eye is.
Yeah. And we get home and our neighbor who's no longer with us, Dennis, he decorated our door with like banners that said just married and little stars and stuff. It was like the cutest thing.
Yeah, Dennis was always a very thoughtful man. He was my neighbor. We live in apartment 2. This is a triplex. He lived in apartment 1 when we first moved in. And him and I got very, very close. And unfortunately, he passed away at a very early age. I believe he was 40. He had an aneurysm and he couldn't recover from it. And that was just one of the many thoughtful things that Dennis was always doing.
He was such a good guy.
He was. He was a lot of fun, and he was a great guy. He never gave us a stink eye. He was always happy, always had a big smile on his face, always had a joke to crack, you know.
Love Lexi.
Yeah, he worked his way into Lexi. That man worked hard. He did. He would lay on the floor in the patio to get her to come to him. He tried really hard. So at any rate, that trip was about 30 days, and I think that's sort of what started the travel RVing bug with Angie.
With me especially. I fell in love with the road. I couldn't wait to go back and continue this road trip and continue. My God, we've been together 16 years, so we were about 13 years in at that point, and that's probably the happiest time that I've had. And I wanted it again. I didn't want it to end. And I just started looking at van life stuff, and that's only because we were in the art community, and if you saw our last Tuesday Talk video, we touched on that. And I have 2 artist friends that are living the van life. They just go from festival to festival living in their van. And I was like, is this even a thing? And I did searches, and I found a couple of chicks, 2 chicks actually. One chick travels, and then the other one was Hobo Alley. And I got addicted to their channels. I'm like, if these girls can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
And I was loving it, and I'm like, yes! And she was like,
no. I was like, absolutely not. No. I'll go on the road. You know, I can live that way, but I cannot live that confined. Yeah. I don't need a lot, but what I need. And I wasn't willing to let it, compromise that much. That was way too much.
I was heartbroken. I was like, man, this is the woman that I love, but that's the life that I want.
And I told her, if this is something you really want to do, if this is something that you can't live without, I'm not going to stand in your way. I want you to go ahead and do that, because I understand that. But there's no way that I can live that confined. And I mean, I think in all reality, she managed to find the most minimalist people on YouTube that she could show me. Like the most bare bones situation that she could find was the one she presented to me.
I haven't been watching YouTube as much as you do lately, but I haven't caught up with Hobo Alley if she's actually finished her van builds. But at the time, it was a shell. It was like nothing, 2 Tupperwares and a mattress. So she's like, what? When she travels, no, she has a gorgeous van.
Her sales technique was awful. Like the presentation was terrible. There's no way. I mean, she showed me this and I was like, what the hell is she talking about? There's no way I'm gonna live in there, After that, I've seen a lot of really beautiful van builds, and I know that I can live in a van that's a glamp van. I can live in, But, also the flip side of that is buying a van and doing the build, the expenses that go into that, to me, equate to having a small RV. If you buy a van, it's going to be at the very least $3,000, and it's going to take you at least that much to do the van build. And that's you doing it yourself. And we don't have that kind of experience, so not having that kind of experience would probably extend the build process and the expenses for the materials. Not to mention that I would want a van that has a high top. So a van that has a high top, initial investment is going to be more than $3,000. And I just found out that putting a high top on a van is about the same thing, $3,000. So when you put all those numbers together, and I'm not a great big numbers person, but I am very budget savvy. When you put all those numbers together, you're looking at least, at the low end, probably $6,000, and at the high end, at the medium high end, at least $10,000. And in that same space, we can get an RV where we don't have to build anything. So I think it was like through conversation and compromise and the reality of the whole situation, we came to an agreement that an RV was actually the best thing to do. By Angie finding the van people, that sort of like, you know, cracked the shell, and I was able to like go further into YouTube and find all these other people that that are living on the road, living on the road, and so that all became a reality. But it actually sparked up from this one trip.
Yeah. So there you go. Now you understand why this is the move that we're making and why we're going into this direction.
Yeah. Now you know our goals. Now you know how we got there, and I want you guys to stick around for the whole trip.
Before we end this video, I think it's time to give a thanks to our subscribers for March.
The new subbies.
Now March was interesting. I mean, February, remember I said that it was a great jump, and there was a long list of names that I gave a shout out to. March, however, it was 21 new subscribers.
Yep.
Or subbies.
Or subbies.
21 new subbies, but yet only 3 of them had public profiles.
Yeah.
So, if I don't call out your name, I apologize. It's because your account is private, but you know you subscribed, and we thank you for joining us.
We appreciate that you've come along. There's a lot of other channels that you could choose, and you chose us, and we're extremely happy about that.
Yeah.
And so the 3 people that want to be YouTube famous and have shared their account with the world will now start the roll call. Go.
Should I go first?
Take it.
Okay, so the first one is Randall Warren. Thank you for joining us, Randall. We really appreciate your follow.
Thank you, Randall. I really appreciate that you're here. The second one is Nomadic in Nature.
Oh, I wanted you to say the other one.
We'll say the other one together.
Okay. Yeah, Nomadic in Nature.
Thank you, Nomadic in Nature, for coming to join us. I will be checking out your channel.
We are. We're subscribers to their channel.
We are? Look at that. What do I know?
Yes, I already checked and subscribed back.
I'm the last one to know anything anyway. So this last one is really exciting because according to my niece's calculations, and my niece is very, very bright. She's a very bright little girl. I am an 8th Mexican.
1/8.
Okay? And that's because my grandfather, on my mom's side, was born in Yucatan, Mexico, in Mérida, and then later moved to Cuba. But he is born, and for the most part, probably the first 15 years of his life, he lived in Mérida. And so, when I saw this name, because it's so long, it made me think of my Mexican heritage, because we have a tendency of including our mom's last name, our dad's last name, and everything else in between.
First name and middle name.
Yeah. And this is kind of like that. It kind of brought a chuckle, but you know what, Carlos? I appreciate you joining us. I really do. So, Carlos, in your honor, here we go. Ready?
Carlos Eduardo Jr. Rivera Colchado.
Thank you for joining us. You and all your names. We're really happy that you're here, because you could have picked any other channel, and we appreciate that you picked us.
Thank you guys for subscribing, for watching this video. If you enjoyed our story, please give us a thumbs up. And if this is the first time you're watching us, hit that subscribe button. There's a whole lot of fun travel and South Florida stuff to come.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.